Hey, my name's Arturo Duarte, and I'm going to briefly describe the place where I grew up. I did grow up in the city of Chicago in a neighborhood called Pilsen, and from age 0 till I was 7, I was in an apartment building, and I don't remember too much except being very close to two grocery stores. When I remember also was being close to a bus route, and being able to take the bus to the train station was very important because we were able to go to different parts of the city and buy diapers, groceries, whatever we needed to. And especially my mother um, had to take care of me and my brother, so it was very important for us to be close to public transportation. And the apartment that we actually lived in was on top of my uncle's business, so it wasn't something that they looked for when living somewhere. It's just something that happened when they moved to the city. Um, Another very important factor was being able to be close to the school and picking a very close, convenient school so that my mother didn't have to travel far. She was also very limited in language, so having distance farther from our radius was going to be a little bit more difficult. Um, so a lot of the natural environment was public transportation, groceries, and schools. Uh, I didn't really interact with too many people. I don't remember too much about that part of my life. I remember after I was 7, we moved to a home just a block away. It was important because my father had to be close to his workplace, so we couldn't move very far. And um, at that time, during the early 90s and mid 2000s, this Pilsen neighborhood was very, had a lot of crime. There was a lot of gangs, there was a lot of street violence and drive-by shootings. And so during that time, there was a lot of uh, property that was really affordable. And this is how my parents came across their home here in the city, and being able to um, be within a block radius from where we used to live was really convenient because we did move far for my school. My father didn't move far for his work, and we still were within a block away from our transportation, from our main bus route. Um, the people that I ended up interacting with at this time was mainly a lot of street kids, um, and new friends that I met at my new school. So after I was 7, I transferred to a public school. Before I was in a private school. And in my public school, I met new friends from the community, and um, many of the children were actually from different gangs, and they were from different backgrounds. Um, it was very difficult for me to adjust to this new lifestyle. Everyone around me was very cordial, but there were at times where I was also invited to be part of a gang, and which I calmly rejected. Everybody at school knew me, and because everybody at school knew me, they knew who I hung out with, the friends that I made, and the friends that I had that were part of gangs weren't really mean or aggressive or hostile. It was the people that I couldn't get along with that were pretty aggressive towards me. I was often bullied at school. Um, and that's one of the ways that I was able to understand my surroundings was through the interactions with my friends. Um, how I got around was I walked. I was able to walk to school. It was a block or two away from me. I was able to walk to the store, which was a block away from me, and it was not very difficult to get around because those were the only two things that I actually needed during that time. Um, a lot of my friends lived across the street, so it was really easy for me to meet them up outside or see them playing outside, or even before when there was no phones or internet. The best way to get together was to see if they were outside, look out the window, see if they're outside, and go outside and play with them. Um, the things that were sustainable about my life. Well, all my friends were in proximity. Um, the schools, everything I just described, the schools, the supermarket, everything was really close to me. And so, um, my parents had bought a car, and that was only used every Monday or whenever there was more groceries than you could haul. But every Monday we would go to the mall, and the mall is always not in proximity, it was always far. But that was just about the only reasons we needed to travel. Um, so I would say that most of my life was sustainable. We always had home cooked meals. We were always very conservative about the things that we bought. Um, about sustainability theory, my unique past. Well, I think my unique past was closely related to my parents' choices and um, their language barriers. They always chose local because it was easier for them to keep track of me, especially when the neighborhood was really dangerous. Um, I've heard from other kids my age that they were actually shot at by different gangs for no apparent reason, and I guess I was one of the luckier ones to not be able to have those kinds of experiences. Um, and so growing up, I was able to do things around me, and that is always very good to do. But now that I'm older, I feel like many people um, stay within their neighborhoods, and um, that's not always healthy. I would say I like going to different places. I don't like staying in my own neighborhood. I like learning and experiencing different places around the city, and I feel like a lot of my current friends around the neighborhood that I am, that I've actually it's in the same neighborhood I've grown up. I still live in Pilsen, but I feel like a lot of my neighborhood friends now have a fear of going outside of their neighborhood, of going to different parts of the city, and a part of it I feel like it's the fear feeling judged or feeling disoriented. But I think that we should be unafraid of going to different places. It's very sustainable to stay in one area and be local and have all of our needs in one area, but it's also healthy to meet other people in different areas and to explore different stores and different cultures. Um, because not all the cultures live in my area. Um, we are relatively close to Chinatown, but unfortunately, here in Chicago, we are the most segregated place in the world. Uh, we have ethnic borders, rivers, viaducts, and large streets divide a lot of those ethnic backgrounds. And unfortunately, there is a lot of discrimination within each other. And it's another reason why people don't explore many parts of the city. Um, and I feel like that's always been the case even when I was younger, and I feel like predominantly even like my parents feel a lot of um, discrimination against other races. Um, but that's never really been part of my past. I feel like I've been able to um, go outside of my daily routines and understand different things from different people. Um, and the values. How do human values come into play? Um, that's really difficult, especially in the city. There are parts of the city, especially in the main commercial district downtown, where it's they strive to be inclusive. Um, but in many, especially many markets here in my local area, a lot of it is very. So here, many other neighborhoods are directed towards the cultures that they represent. Here in Pilsen, there's a lot of Mexican culture, so we have a lot of grocery stores that are uh, Mexican. And in Chinatown, there are many grocery stores that are Chinese in Koreatown. But Chinatown and Pilsen are some of the biggest, I would say, neighborhoods in terms of ethnicity. Um, you also have Little Italy and lots of other neighborhoods, but I think people don't understand that sustainability means being able to interact with different people of different cultures and being able to empathize with their emotions and understand um, their the way that they think or the way that they go around their daily lives. Here in the city, we there are many people who do discriminate people for just being their own race, and I don't think it's right. Um, each culture has human values, but we don't. I don't think we understand that we are all people and we all have emotions. And in order to be sustainable, we need to work together. We need to be at peace with each other. And there isn't much education on that. There isn't much um, networking or any kind of self awareness that there are other cultures versus like having too being too prideful with one's culture. I think is also really hurts one's own retrospective on life and even the respect for other people. And I think there should be more respect for other people, more communications, more learning. I often hear on the bus or on the train, there's just a lot of racial talk about how, especially now with the coronavirus, about how people don't want to go to Chinatown and how there's just this stigmatism tied to Chinatown now, and it's one of my favorite places to go. And I'd still go even with what's going on now. I think just people need to be more informed about what's really going on and not necessarily be afraid to go to a place just because it's tied to big news that the big news doesn't really it has given a lot of misinformation to people. Um, so I think there should be a lot more communication with the communities about what's really going on versus scare tactics. I think it's really hurting a lot of cultures.